And thanks for staying with us. My guest this afternoon on Hot Issues is one man who knows it all when it comes to elections in Ghana. He was involved in the 1992 elections, 1996 elections, 2000 elections, 2004 elections, and the 2008 elections before his retirement in May 2012. Even before the elections, he was part of the referendum which ushered in the 1992 Constitution. My guest this afternoon is former Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, David Kanga. Good afternoon, Mr. Kanga, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So where have you been all this while? It's been 4 years after you left.
Thank you. I've been around. The little bit that I've been doing formally is being a member of the Council of State. Beyond that, I do other things quietly.
Quietly? What things do you do quietly?
Well, quietly, like I do farming. I'm not a very competitive farmer. I do conflict mediations. And then sometimes I do training in ADR. And for some time too, I've been going to do some classes with master's students of the Kofi Annan Peace Training Center.
Having said, for all these years at the Electoral Commission, now, has your experience been tapped by the current administration?
Yes, and perhaps not in a formal way. There's no formal connection. Before I left, I'd been thinking that because we didn't have any former commissioner of elections in the country, apart from Justice V.R.A.C. Crab, yeah. And we used to follow him as often as it was necessary. However, we didn't have any other decisions. But so I was thinking at the time I was leaving that perhaps if we had instituted, because we did IPAC to get political parties to have a forum with the commission. I also worked to get the former retired former servants, secretariat members, like the directors, or former directors, we have a forum with them. And maybe if we had gone further, but at the time I was leaving, there was no former commissioner. And now we have 3 former commissioners. So perhaps my thinking would have been if we had a sort of a formal relationship with the 3 retired commissioners.
What's the level of engagement now between you and the current group of commissioners?
Is that personal?
When you say personal, what do you mean?
At the level with the chairman of the commission, and from time to time with some other commissioners on personal level. Do
they seek professional advice from you, as in happenings within the commission?
Yeah, sometimes I ask questions. So what is happening at the commission? And while they're telling me what is happening, then we talk about what is happening. But there's no direct question like, this is what is happening, what do you think? Yeah, that's what
How do you feel about that?
It's perhaps not the best, but I don't fault anybody. I don't fault anybody. If I have to fault anybody, I'll fault myself.
Why would you fault yourself?
I'll fault Dr. Because by the time we're leaving, we should have organized so that we institute a formal relationship. But we didn't do that. The present situation to the new chairman of the commission finds herself, she found herself in the seat just when the preparation for the election started. She hasn't had time even to think about where can I pass to get help and where can I not do well that. So
is that not
I
the
won't
more
fault
reason
it.
why? Is that not the more reason why you should seek help just as the processes begin? You seek help from those or advice from those who have been in it.
You see, if you don't take care, you confuse yourself. So she may be saying, oh, let's take our time, we get out of this, then we can institute a formal relationship. But you know, when before they went into the public forum relating to the register, the problems, when the problems of it, they invited me, and I sat in the committee that they set up. I sat in to, I wasn't a member of the committee, but I sat in to listen to some of their deliberations. Towards the end, I pulled out quietly. I didn't want to be associated with their decisions.
Why didn't you want to be associated with their decisions?
Because you see, people don't understand. In this country, they tend to think that, oh, but this man was there, why is he there now trying to direct affairs?
But you have the expertise.
Yeah, but that's why I said if it had been a formal arrangement, like we have IPAC, and I think we should have changed the name IPAC long ago. We have, if we had another forum, I don't know, with the past secretarial staff, and then another a similar forum for past commissioners, maybe it will be easy, it will be better.
But you believe in what you can offer. You know you have something to offer.
Yeah.
Why must what people say deter you from doing so?
You see, elections are not like other entities. You have to be extremely careful, because in politics, right is as good as wrong.
Right is as good as wrong in politics.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm sure about that, because that's my experience. If you know that you do something that will bring you votes, you do it. And if you have to apologize, you say, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't mean it. And that's true. We have to accept it. It's true. If you were a candidate on one side and I want to get votes, I can say, oh, look, you look horrible. Why did God create such a horrible thing like you? And when I have finished with that, if people believe in what I have said and they ignore you and take me on, if I meet you in at a place, a forum, I will say, oh yeah, how are you? You are great, you know. You are the one best human being that God created. Okay. That's what happens in politics. Yeah, what you say on the platform is different from how you live your life with people. And so we have to be very careful, because political interpretation is not a straitjacket thing.
Okay, so talking about institutionalizing something, why haven't you made the effort to have that done?
I have a feeling that the time is not the best. I would have made the attempt if we were 1 year after elections. I would have pushed. But 1 year after the elections, Dr. Afajan was still there. He was my senior and everything. And I couldn't be pushing when I knew that he didn't.
But you knew he was going to leave also.
Yes.
And somebody was going to come in.
And perhaps because of that, I also thought that he would be the one to initiate.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No. That's wrong. It's not the best for me to have done. But I thought that he was on top of everything. He was going to do it. When I realized he didn't do it, it was then too late.
But some would say, around that time when he left, 2015, that was the best time, because you had a new crop of people coming in. And that's where your expertise mattered the most. Maybe you should have started around that time.
You see, it was about the same time that the issues became very hot around the register. And you didn't want to distract attention. You didn't want to engage them in something else when there was very big issue like the register. Because for elections, the register is key. Because what do we say? The result of an election ought to be the will of the people.
Yeah.
And how do you arrive at that? It's registered voters who bring about the will of the people. So if the register is not right, you are not likely to get everything right.
Are you on good terms with Dr. Afari-John?
We don't, when you say good terms, I don't know what you mean, but we joke, and if we meet.
If you meet?
Yeah.
Would you pick your phone and call him, for instance?
If I need him. If I need him.
While in office, were you good friends?
Oh, only maybe if you don't know Dr. Afari-John, it's not possible for you to be around and not be friendly. Because if you don't make yourself available, he will come to you. We were very nice, and we were there for very long.
Yes.
Yes, there have even been times when, for instance, when we were in South Africa in '94, we shared a room. And there have been times when we have to go and sit together. For that relationship is good.
It's good.
It was good. Yeah, I can say that. No, but now we don't meet often.
You don't meet often. You don't call him often. Also.
Because he is down here and I'm in Bolgatanga, and I really don't have too much energy to run around. I scarcely come by road. I have to come by car, by air. And just go from the airport to a meeting place, something, then I go back.
And when you come, you don't make time to see each other.
It is better that we are out of the scene. We want it to be that.
You want to enjoy life now that you're out of the scene.
Okay, if you say enjoy life, that's different for me.
What would be the difference?
Just to have a quiet
life.
Yes.
So let's look at some of the issues happening. Now, I want us to look at the letter by the three political parties. They raised a lot of issues. They raised issues about how their campaign was affected by their disqualification. There's been lots of arguments about disqualification. How were you going about it in your time?
Yes, thank you. It's a very delicate area. There were times when we felt we should be tough, deal with it as it is. But many of the times we felt we had to be a bit soft. We had to engage them in discussion. We had to engage them in education. We had to help them to go around the mistakes, whatever they did. Because, you see, when you are aspiring to be a presidential candidate, it's natural to begin to even live like a president. Yes, it's natural. You begin to.
But you're not there yet.
You are not there yet, but you see, your spirit is taking you there. In fact, your spirit goes ahead of the body, and it's already in that position. So we need to handle them with tact, because they are followers, even if they themselves don't assume the position. Their followers already are seeing them as being in that position. And so you need to be tactful when you deal with them. That does not mean that we should swallow all the wrongs that they do. So, but what we did most of the time was to engage them, to get them, sit down with them and say, look, this is not right, this is not. And there were times when we'll go with somebody to a point where the person himself will say, oh, so yeah, I think this, I can't make it. It's now too late, I can't make it. Then they withdraw and we say, okay, you can be a candidate. Yeah, so it's difficult trying to to, apply the law is very important.
Okay.
But knowing the circumstances, sometimes you need to be a bit soft, tactful, to be able to get it through.
At what point did you decide to be tough, and at what point did you decide to be soft?
Yeah, you became tough when you have engaged them, educated them, and they are repeating the mistake. Then you just say, no, enough is enough, no way, you're out.
But you had to engage them.
Yes, we had to engage.
Because of that feeling they had,
yes,
that they were already getting close to the presidency.
Yeah, they are big men, they are big women. And it is maybe not they themselves saying it, it is their followers. Yeah. When they are coming to file their nominations, you see what happens, don't you? You see that there is usually a large crowd. They are drumming and dancing, and if some of them had, there was a year, I can't remember which year, when the women came along with them and they would throw their cloths on the ground for them to walk on. Do you see the type of air?
Yes, around them, and it makes them feel great. So for you, in dealing with flag bearers, you must be tactful.
You have to be tactful. You have to be patient, and and allow them to go through it. Unfortunately, the numbers have swelled up, and that I think has put a lot of pressure on the commission.
Which numbers? Number of candidates? They say it's the commission's fault, right from your time. You had a lot of political parties.
Yes, I wouldn't say it was not our fault, but it was not deliberate. It was not that we didn't know.
But these parties, some of them didn't even qualify. They didn't meet the requirements you set out in Act 574.
In 2010, we did an inspection and of political party facilities and then the presence in the regions and whatnot. And we compiled a list. We really had a number of them ready to forward to the High Court for them to be removed from the registers. Unfortunately, we didn't get through with it for some reasons.
Why didn't you get through with it?
Yeah, that's why I said for some reasons. I don't want to talk about all those.
No, maybe you could just give us one of those reasons.
Yeah, one of them being that we got caught up with trying to plan and execute biometric registration. And I, for instance, I got very busy writing the specs for verification machine. We were very hotly chased by the parties that without verification they were not going to participate in the programs. So even before we could say yes, we will do verification, we in the background were working very hard to be able to write specs. Writing the specs for the verification machine was not an easy job. You have to be very, very careful. What do you want the machine to do, and how should it be done? And other issues engaged our attention so much.
But even before 2010, Mr. Kanga, I mean, there were parties that didn't have the national presence.
We had done inspections earlier.
And you still allowed them to go through the process?
Wait a minute. We had a number of parties, and it happened that some of them, so to speak, died on their own. They went off. Yeah. You know, and so we had this feeling. We used to say, oh, allow them to kill themselves.
Oh, you were expecting the political parties to die
and it was good.
Some never died.
No, some of them, even if they were there, they never signed up to compete in anything. But the thing too you should remember is that the political parties are not just there to contest elections. They are also there to do political education. And that is even more crucial for some of us than just participating in elections. If you had good, active political parties doing political education, many of the things that are happening will not happen.
I like the point. If you had active political parties doing political education. Unfortunately, these are not active political parties. They surface during election years.
Yeah, but we hoped, we were hoping that they will develop enough capacity to engage in political education. And that is why during our time we used to try and go out to engage donor community to say, please assist our political parties in whatever programs they want to embark on. Because seriously speaking, NCC cannot do very much.
Is it even effective?
I think it is doing what it can.
Is it doing what it should do?
And I haven't researched into their performance, so I won't be able to say categorically whether they are doing well, they are not doing well. But because we lived in the same compound, we worked in the same compound, I can appreciate the problems they go through. Budget constraints are not limited to NCC. The Electoral Commission also has its share of the budget constraints, except that with the Electoral Commission, because activities are time-bound, no government can deny them resources for an activity. Because if the activity does not take place, it's going to impede a lot of other things. And so, because it's time-bound, they tend to get the resources. But with NCCE, like Ministry of Education, the result is in the minds of people. And even whether it is good or not, you can't tell. Yeah.
We definitely will continue with the conversation, but we'll also look at state funding of political parties or funding of political parties, because the three political parties raised issues about how they believe the ruling party NDC is abusing its incumbency to win this year's election, and that, according to them, would constitute not so free and fair general elections. We'll go for a short break. This is Hot Issues with me, Winston Amwa. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues with me, Winston Amwa, and this afternoon my guest is a former Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, Mr. David Kanga. So one other issue they raised, that's the three political parties, if I could call them the three group, they say the NDC is abusing incumbency, and they say the Electoral Commission is not doing anything about it. How must an electoral commission ensure fairness in the usage of funds during an election?
The commission's connection with the usage of funds for an election is post-election. Post-election in the sense that after the elections, the parties are to render accounts. They are to account for what they've done for the elections, the amounts they've spent and whatnot. So for now, the Electoral Commission has no hands. It's not the Electoral Commission that is to get up and go and say, look, you are spending public money.
But are you happy with how the other political parties are campaigning? Do you think they all have the same financial muscle?
Now let's go back a little. You may recall the Electoral Commission set up, it was like a campaign to get government to support, to give funding to political parties.
Something you led?
Yes, we did it and did it vigorously.
And what
you
happened?
Remember we had even a program and President Kufo came, and one other person, a minister came, who got all the assurances. During his tenure, that never got implemented. Before 2008, we campaigned even more, and we came out with modalities for sharing the fund if it was collected and all that. And then we went into a new regime in 2009. Till today, there has not been any results, any positive result.
Why haven't we had that result?
I can't tell.
You led it.
Yeah, but what I mean is we did our part. We gave all the reasons, and every time the government representatives will say, oh yeah, it's reasonable, it's good. But then getting it done, it never.
Maybe you didn't push harder afterwards. You left it with them once you presented the findings, and that was the end.
I don't know whether how we wanted us to push hard. You know, we can only use words, and we used all the words that we could gather.
You use all the words and nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened. You see, the thing is that when you are in government, for the political parties, when they are in government, it's different from when they are in opposition. You would have realized that when parties are in opposition, they are first to shout that, oh, they are not giving enough funding to the Electoral Commission. Oh, the government is trying to stifle the Electoral Commission so that they won't conduct the election because we are going to win. They don't want the election to come on because they want to be able to continue to be in government. When they go into government, finding the money for Electoral Commission becomes a different matter. So maybe even it may be that they can't find the money. I don't know. But we did our part of the game. We continue to educate. And I think the Electoral Commission still has the recommendations that we put up.
Do you still believe the state should fund political parties?
Oh, why not? Why not? Because I just told you, one critical thing that political parties do is political education. The only thing is that I will encourage the Electoral Commission to be stiffer on the qualifications of parties to be on the register, so that not any group of people can go and sign in that they are a political party. If we had political parties that are working and there's good political education, perhaps the work of the Electoral Commission will be reduced. This is why we championed that course. Because with more political education, the voters will understand the electoral process better. And the problems we're going through now, we may not have to go through them. We're spending too much. I have a feeling. We're spending too much trying to make things work because people, you know, you remember there was a time we had to go for transparent ballot boxes. By all means, without transparent ballot boxes, some people were ready not to vote. But you see that a lot of countries in the world are using opaque boxes, and nobody is complaining. Because if you use an opaque box, and those who are to be at the polling station at 7 a.m. are all there at 7 a.m., there will be no ballot box staffing. Because at the beginning, they will turn the box, everybody will see that it's empty. You see? But the problem is that the education for people to take their little bit, their jobs seriously. We have candidate agents. They should do their job well. But at 7 a.m., they are not there. And so the officials who are there, if they have like minds, they can do a lot of things.
Okay. Now, looking at all of these complaints, and in your time too, there were complaints. At the time, how were you dealing with the political parties? when they raised these issues, like what we have from the NDP, PPP, and PNC?
You know, we started off with big problems, very heavy ones, in '93. You know, after the '92 elections, you remember there was a boycott of the elections, and then later on there was the losing party came up with, you remember that hot book? The
Stolen Verdict.
Stolen Verdict, what. And then Parliament was one-sided. Those who were in opposition did not have any forum to interact with those in government, because that interaction could have taken place on the floor of Parliament or around Parliament building, but they were not in Parliament. So that sort of interaction was missing. And that's why we pushed to set up IPAC, to be able to create the forum for the parties to interact with each other.
What sort of forum were you creating when you established IPAC?
Consultative.
Consultative?
Yes.
Not advisory?
Not advisory. We use the word advisory to bring them to the table.
But it wasn't as though they were going to be advising?
No. We told them even the very first day that though it was called advisory committee, it was going to be consultative, interactive.
It's deceptive then, isn't it? I mean, the name then is deceptive.
The name is, deceptive, misleading, whatever, but it served the purpose. What we wanted was to have a forum, to be able to sell messages to the parties, for the parties to be able to question our programs, our performance, and whatnot. And that took place, okay. But anytime they tried to overstep the bounds of consultation and interaction to advise, then we say, no, you can say what you want to say about the issue. We agree. We will take it and we'll look at it. If it happens to be, it will fall in line with our thinking, we'll take it. If it doesn't, it won't go.
So it only serves as an avenue where you have discussions with the political parties and tell them what you intend doing, and then they give you their views, then you go and think about it, and then you bring them a response.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's still the case, even though it's called advisory.
Would you advise a name change then?
I wanted us to change it to something consultative forum, because strictly, if you hear the name, but you see the problem too is that right now a lot of people who go there, they don't even know the full meaning of IPAC. They are not about it. They just know that they went, but it's misleading because people tend to say we are going for IPAC meeting. You see, instead of we are going for the IPAC forum. Okay. You see, instead of a forum, they've turned it to be a meeting, and you know the difference. A forum is not very structured. A meeting is structured. So, but they now call it IPAC meeting. I think that's what we've been hearing.
Yes, they say IPAC meetings.
IPAC meeting, which ought not to be the case. You say IPAC meeting.
So coming back to the questions, the doubts about the electoral process. I mean, these parties are raising questions about the electoral process.
Yeah.
How do we deal with them? Because they're sending signals out there that this year's election would not be free and fair. How do we deal with them?
First of all, I like to tell the parties to urge them to tone down on those statements. They may have problems with certain aspects of the process. It was good, they went to court and the court intervened and the problems were resolved. That's the best thing to do. The other thing is that we've just been talking about IPAC. IPAC is still there. So they should make use of those avenues. Because you see, what the leadership of a party may have in mind in making a statement like what they did may be different from what their members on the ground will be thinking of when they hear the statement. And so I want to urge them to be a bit more circumspect, because when they have said these things, if the issues have been resolved, to go into reverse gear to the gear where people accept that things are okay is difficult, because people, there's a mindset, the commission is not doing well, things are not going well, the elections will not go on well. So the least problem on election day can be what? Blown out of proportion. And so I want to urge them to be careful, That does not mean that the commission side will leave it. The commission too should also carefully examine the statements and try to address them in a very transparent and consultative manner.
Why do you say transparent and consultative?
Transparent in the sense that they should bring out every thing that goes into a decision. If they make a decision, they should let the parties know why they arrived at that decision. It shouldn't be like they come and then you tell them, okay, we've decided this, that. No. They should take their time to explain why they arrived at that decision. And that reminds me about something.
Okay.
The IPAC, there were times when we asked the press to stay out. Sometimes journalists will quarrel with us, I know with me in particular. They will say, oh, how can they be discussing the problems of the people and then we represent the people and
exactly
you don't want us to be there.
Since it's a forum, why shouldn't they be there?
Yes, but it is not every time, everything that the people should be hearing at the point. We should organize things before we give it out to the people. So sometimes they can ask the press to stay out and then they discuss. But then what we realized was that even when we did that, some of the parties will go out and try to steal the show. So then they go to the press and they defeat the purpose.
In recent times, people have called for a signing of a communique at the end of it. All parties sign, so nobody goes out there and twists the issues.
And yet they will do it. Have they succeeded?
No, they haven't been signing the communiques. They still come out and everybody tells you what happened.
But if I can assure you, when they sign the communique, someone will still go and say what they want to say. But I'm arguing that if they stayed with the commission and went through the issues extensively, with the commission taking time to explain all the things that lead them to a decision before maybe the press join, it will be better. Because if they are alone, they will listen better than when they have the press around. You know, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if I know that there is a camera around, I want to buy votes. So I'm going to speak the language of campaign language instead of speaking a meeting language. You know.
Looking at the processes leading to the elections so far, are you satisfied and convinced that we'll have a free, fair, credible elections?
I do not doubt that we can have free, fair elections. We may still have a bit of a problem. Remember that we cannot have perfect elections. It doesn't happen anywhere. and that is why I'm appealing to the parties to tone down on their grievances. You see, because as at now, I think things are going on very well. The fact that they've been able to print ballot papers, they've been able to deploy, and they are doing training. And I observed a training somewhere. They didn't even know I was there. I just went incognito, stood by a window and listened to what was going on. And I think what I observed was very good. So they've done all the normal preparatory works that they have to do. And as at now, I believe that the commissioners should be resting, because most of the work has been done. They are now only waiting for the D-Day and things will roll out. I believe we will have a good election.
You say there's no perfect election and we may have a problem. What problem do you foresee us having?
Oh, normal problems. For instance, we may go out to vote and unforeseen things like somebody is carrying ink and somebody is to carry the ink and perhaps they forgot and left the box behind and they arrive at a place without the ink. And if there are a few of those and the press do not handle those isolated cases properly, and sometimes some of your colleagues, they will just say, oh, for today the whole election is bogus. They've started the election, there's no ink anywhere. When maybe they've seen only one case. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you are dealing with about 100 and over polling stations, you go to 1 or 2 polling stations, you see something and you say, it's everywhere. You create panic. Some people draw conclusions that the whole thing has gone bad. So when the results start coming, they say, but why are they even announcing results when those polling stations didn't vote this, that? Those type of problems are, I don't want to say, they may come up. It is how we will handle them that will determine how smooth the election will be. Yeah. Because those, an election is generally logistics management. Very large logistics management.
Okay.
And so you can have hitches at any point.
Now, before we move away from elections and get to issues on the campaign, does the posturing of the Electoral Commission matter? I mean, how Ghanaians see the Electoral Commission, does it matter in an election?
The basic principle is that the Commission will work hard to earn the confidence of the stakeholders in general, especially the candidates, the political parties. So that relationship should not be played with. It should be, the Commission should be working very hard to get the confidence of everybody.
And if that confidence isn't there?
No, I've just said that we're at a point where we can have good elections. If the confidence were not there, I wouldn't say we can have it. There are suspicions, there are 1 or 2, which is not surprising. It's not surprising that some people will have problems with certain aspects of the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go for a short break at this point. When we return from this final break, we get into issues of the campaign. Yes, Mr. David Kanga is a former Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, but he's now a member of the Council of State, and he's also been following, the campaigning with just 10 days to go. What are his thoughts on the campaign? I want to stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues with me, Winston Amwa, and my guest this afternoon, former Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, David Kanga. So, before we get into elections, the name Commissioner, because we all know Chairman, there shall be a Chairman. There's 7 commissioners. It's as though it's become synonymous with a Chairman, the Electoral Commissioner. How did we get there before we move to the elections?
It is wrong. As in Ghana, we talk about attitudes. Attitudes have imposed that title. Let me tell you my own thinking. When we started as a commission, we came in just after we had a long period of the regime of former President Rawlings, and he was the chairman of the PNDC. That time, almost nobody was, no other person was called chairman. Somehow, people threw that word off their heads. So
he was only chairman.
So when he was only chairman. So when after the new dispensation, democratic dispensation came in, and then the commissions were set up, chairman of NCC, chairman of Electoral Commission, and whatnot, people found it difficult to say chairman. And I'm surprised that the young people like you have joined them. And you call me Deputy Commissioner. I was Deputy Chairman. But you see, I appreciate why people will put Chairman aside and say Commissioner, because it's only Justice Crab who was Electoral Commissioner in this country. The constitution we had, they said no, we set up let's have a group responsibility as against individual responsibility. So they said no, commissioner for Electoral Commission, no, it should be a commission of 7 members. Okay. So that's a quick one. A deputy chairman, but I like the fact that you admit that as we say in semantics, there are superordinate and ordinate terms, and there's society's own imposed meanings. We have imposed our own meaning, and so we've imposed our own titles, as the commissioner, the electoral commissioner, and deputy commissioners. But of course, we always say chairman and deputy chairman. All right, so let's get to the campaign trail. Lots of things happening there, but particularly, many have been concerned about the comments. In recent times, they've been concerned about the comments which connote some tribal or ethnic sentiments. You're a member of the Council of State. Are you happy with these comments? Yeah, I wouldn't say whether I'm happy with the comments or not. I would rather do a little bit of what we just finished. Let's go back to this semantics and things. You see, when we say tribe, are we actually talking about a tribe?
Tell me.
Because I remember people were talking about northerner and equating it to tribe. And I think we have to be careful. There are no group of people in Ghana called northerners. Like you said, we just all carelessly say it. Let me ask you let's go to a very simple matter. When, maybe not you, perhaps when you go home, ask your father. He will tell you that some time ago, in the army, in the police, if you looked for a sergeant, corporal, sergeant major, you hear something. Do you know the Issa Kanjaga Have you heard of Isa Kanjaga?
I've heard of that.
Isa Kanjaga, who was the commander of the group that met the people who were marching, to the castle. And he told the white man, no, these are our brothers, we won't shoot. And the white man took the gun from him and shot the people we are now always celebrating. So you used to hear Kanjaga, Kanjaga, and that was the name of a tribe, my tribe. We are Busses.
Yes, I know, Busses. Yeah.
Very good. Now, where has that name gone? The Kanjaga name.
I still
Do you hear it anymore?
Well, I see when I see the Busses, I call them Kanjanga people.
They're in your head, but you will never, in public.
I just called Dr. Pak Kanjanga man there, and he was proud of it.
No, he wasn't proud of it. He just laughed.
That's what he told me. He said he's a proud Kanjanga man.
No, do you know what he means by he's a proud Kanjanga man? Because they are truthful and forceful and upright, you know. But what I mean is that was a wrong name that was imposed on a tribe. And we as students, coming from the place, we fought to take it off. Now you are not going to see any sergeant or something parading and saying, I am Kojo Kanjaga. So if people, we have to be very careful. We shouldn't just be, should I say, gullible and go so far to impose, because tribe, like Kwame Nkrumah said, it connotes negativity, lack of civilization, lack of so many things. But because it's supposed to be a unit, a small unit. So if we just say northness, you know, and then you say that's a tribe. And when you go beyond Yeji, beyond Kintapo, you'll be counting several tribes, you know. Besides, we should avoid it. We should avoid it because it's really dangerous. It's dangerous. If we start walking on tribal lines, we can start harming each other, if I can say harming instead of killing each other, without realizing what we are doing. And I'm really not happy to hear those. I will say if anything, we should avoid it because it's not healthy.
You're not happy when people say, because I come from this part, vote for me.
Yeah, you see, for instance, you know, during the American elections, they were talking about home vote. For instance, I live in Bolga. I was a headmaster of a school in Bolga for almost 11 years. I know Bolga very well. Most of my age mates in Bolga, they know me. I can call that one a home. If I were standing in elections, I can be looking for home vote. And so we should be talking about home votes.
But should you say, because I come from here, this place, vote for me, and don't vote for this person because he doesn't come from this place and he doesn't...
That one is not good. If you just say, don't vote for whatever, because he doesn't come from here, that one is not good enough. But I told you that in politics, what I realized at the commission is that in politics, especially campaign, people say anything that will bring votes.
But that shouldn't be the way to go.
And, you see, who is the president or elector of the United States?
Donald Trump.
Very good. Did you like his language?
Not at all.
And do you see they voted for him?
He still lost the popular votes,
so how bad is it?
He still lost the popular votes.
No, he lost the popular vote, but he's the president-elect. The one who had the popular vote, about 2 million extra votes, I'm told. She is not.
Yes.
Yeah. There you are. And I also told you, if we're doing politics, I can say, look at how you look at your crooked nose. It's like a cow horn, something.
But the security aspects have warned the language. They say, what could create problems for us? It's the language we use.
Very good. That is why when these things are being done, the rest of us who are in charge of security should then work hard to see whether the words are being translated into action. Is there any real danger, or it is just the campaign words? Look, yesterday at my lecture, some of the participants were talking, and I said, look, I don't feel any threats in this country. I don't see why people are, because this country, the good thing is that we are always free to talk. People say what they like, and in doing that, they throw away the heat. But our security forces should be up and doing. That is my worry. And I can tell you frankly that I am not very, very sure of the performance of let's say, the police, sometimes...
Why aren't you sure of their performance?
No, well, because I have had occasion to see people not working when they should be working.
Do you have confidence in them?
No.
Do you have confidence in them?
I have confidence in the police force as a whole.
But
I know instances where they have been negligent. You see? What I'm saying, therefore, is that they should improve on their performance. And let us all have confidence that even if people are saying some of the things you're talking about, they will not result in any problem. Yeah. Because
finally,
the police, they are part of us. And we are not perfect.
Okay.
So they are not perfect. The security forces are not perfect. But they need to work harder to contain any problem that may arise.
Finally, your advice to the electorate. It's just 10 days away. What do you tell them?
The electorate, it's good that we have the opportunity to cast a vote instead of to pull a trigger. We should know that life started to get power, to lead a country. You had to get an army to fight a war and win the war, then you will get a country to rule. Today, that is over. We should all pray and thank God that we are going to be able to give power to some people, somebody, by casting a vote instead of pulling a trigger. And we should all thank God and go quietly, cast our votes, and go home. And then be prepared to take the results. We should all be confident that the results will reflect what we all did.
Mr. David Kanga, thank you very, very much
thank
for joining us this afternoon.